Let me ask you something simple but important. Have you ever stood in the aisle of a pharmacy or a health store, staring at shelves packed with bottles, jars, and colorful labels, each one promising more energy, sharper memory, or stronger bones? Many of my patients in their 60s and 70s tell me it feels overwhelming. One gentleman, George, a retired teacher, laughed and said, "Doc, I feel like I need a degree just to figure out which pills are worth my money and which ones are just expensive candy." And you know what? George isn't alone. I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and I've been working with seniors for more than 30 years, focusing on men's health and longevity. Over that time, I've noticed a troubling pattern. Seniors are often targeted with clever marketing that makes supplements look like magic bullets for every problem that comes with aging. Some truly can help when used wisely, but many are overhyped, overpriced, and in some cases downright unnecessary. That's why today we're diving into our topic: 7 supplements overhyped for seniors and 3 that help. Now, don't get me wrong, supplements can play a role in keeping us strong as we age, but the truth is, not everything that's advertised to you actually delivers what it promises. And when you're on a fixed income, spending hundreds of dollars a year on products that do little more than drain your wallet can be disheartening. George was one of those men. When he came to see me, he had a shoebox full of supplements, some he couldn't even remember why he bought. Fish oils, exotic plant extracts, a miracle mushroom blend, and no fewer than 5 different bottles of multivitamins. He was taking them all faithfully every morning, yet still complained of fatigue, trouble sleeping, and poor digestion. The problem wasn't that George wasn't trying. The problem was that he, like so many seniors, was caught in the trap of believing more pills equal more health. But health doesn't work that way. It's not about stuffing yourself with every new capsule that shows up in an ad. It's about knowing what your body truly needs and what it doesn't. That distinction is exactly what I want to make clear for you today, because it could save you not only frustration, but also hundreds of dollars each year. Before we go further, let me pause and ask you for a quick favor. If you find this message valuable, take a second to like this video, subscribe, and tap that little bell icon so you never miss another conversation like this one. And please, let me know in the comments, do you feel overwhelmed by all the supplement choices out there? Just type yes or no. I do read your answers, and they help me know what challenges you're facing so I can bring you the advice that serves you best. When George and I sat down to sort through his supplement stash, I asked him how he decided what to buy. His answer was, "Doc, I just listened to the ads. They sounded convincing." And that's the exact problem. Many supplement companies prey on fear of memory loss, fear of weakness, fear of illness. They wrap it up in shiny promises and scientific-sounding terms, and it becomes very easy to think you need everything they're selling. But here's the truth. Our bodies after 60 are much wiser than we give them credit for. What we actually need is far simpler than the industry makes it out to be. So as we worked together, George began to let go of the clutter. He stopped taking the supplements that were doing little to nothing for him and instead focused on the ones that actually had science and his own experience behind them. The change was striking. His digestion improved, he was sleeping better, and most importantly, he stopped feeling like he was chasing an impossible dream with every new bottle he bought. He felt more in control of his health. That, to me, is the real victory. Now, you might be wondering, how do you know if what you're taking is one of those overhyped supplements or one that's genuinely useful? That's exactly what we'll uncover step by step in this discussion, because the last thing I want for you to feel is as confused and burdened as George once did. Instead, I want you to feel confident, empowered, and focused only on what makes a real difference for your body and your future. When George and I first began to sort through that shoebox of supplements, I asked him to set aside the ones he felt most convinced were helping him. Out of the 15 or so bottles, he clutched 2 tightly to his chest, saying, "Doc, these are non-negotiable. I saw them on TV, they said they keep your brain sharp and your joints smooth." I smiled because I've heard that same line dozens of times before. It's a common refrain among seniors who want to stay independent and active.
And who can blame them? No one wants to lose their edge or their mobility. But what George didn't realize, and what so many others don't, is that those claims often lean far heavier on advertising than on evidence. One of those bottles was a so-called brain booster, packed with exotic herbs and long names. It promised to reverse memory loss and even claimed it could rebuild brain cells. Here's the truth: no pill out there can perform that kind of miracle. While the healthy diet, regular movement, social engagement, and good sleep are proven to support brain health, these pills usually deliver little more than hope. And hope is important, but it should never come with a $60 monthly price tag that empties your wallet and offers no guarantee. George was surprised when I told him that, and honestly a bit disappointed. But relief quickly followed. Relief in knowing he didn't have to keep spending money on something that wasn't truly serving him. The second bottle was a high-priced joint formula that promised complete cartilage renewal. Again, the marketing was slick, the testimonials convincing, but once we looked closely at the ingredients, we saw it was essentially the same as an over-the-counter option that cost a fraction of the price. That's another trick I want you to be aware of. Many supplements are simply repackaged in fancy bottles with inflated prices. And when you're on a budget, every dollar matters. As George learned, the real key wasn't grabbing every supplement that sounded impressive. It was learning to ask the right questions. Does this have strong evidence behind it? Does my doctor recommend it for my specific situation? Or is it just another pill designed to prey on the worries that come with age? By shifting his mindset, George began to reclaim control over his health. And more importantly, he started noticing that his energy improved, not because of what he was taking, but because of what he stopped taking. His body wasn't overloaded anymore. This brings me to a very important point. Many seniors believe that because supplements are natural, they must also be safe. But the reality is more isn't always better. Certain vitamins and minerals, when taken in high doses, can actually harm your liver, kidneys, or heart. George had unknowingly been doubling up on some nutrients because his multivitamin overlapped with several of his specialty pills. That overlap may not sound like a big deal, but over time, it can create real problems. So one of the best things you can do is keep your supplement list simple and intentional. I often tell my patients the goal of aging well isn't to build a mountain of pills on your kitchen counter. It's to make sure every choice you make, whether food, exercise, or supplements, is aligned with what your body truly needs and not just what marketing wants you to believe. That shift in mindset can make all the difference, not just in your health, but in your peace of mind. Now, before I go further, let me pause again to invite you into this conversation. If what I'm saying makes sense to you, if you've ever felt the confusion George felt, go ahead and like this video, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell so you never miss a discussion that could help your health and your future. And tell me in the comments below, have you ever bought a supplement you later realized wasn't helping you? Just type yes or no. I read these comments because they tell me where you're struggling and how I can better guide you. George's journey wasn't about giving up hope. It was about trading empty promises for real results. And that's where I want you to hold on to. Supplements aren't magic, but they can play a role when used wisely. What matters most is clarity, balance, and the confidence that you're nourishing your body with what it truly needs, not what marketing wants you to believe. That shift in mindset can make all the difference, not just in your health, but in your peace of mind.
A few weeks after George trimmed down his supplement routine, he came back to my office with a smile on his face. He said, "Doc, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but I feel lighter. Not just in my wallet, but in my body." I chuckled because that's exactly what happens when we stop overwhelming ourselves with things that don't serve us. Instead of chasing the next miracle capsule, George was now focusing on proven habits, good meals, staying active, and carefully chosen supplements that actually supported his health. And this is where I want to turn our attention now. The difference between the 7 overhyped supplements that seniors often waste money on and the handful of ones that truly can make a difference. Let me be very clear here. No supplement is going to reverse the clock.
It won't erase wrinkles, bring back the energy of your 20s, or replace a healthy lifestyle. What the right supplements can do, however, is support the body where diet alone may fall short. The trouble is, most of the flashy ones being marketed to seniors are designed more to fatten the pockets of the companies than to strengthen your health. That's what George was caught in, buying brain boosters that didn't boost anything, or miracle joint pills that were little more than rebranding vitamins. But once we cleared out the noise, we were left with 3 supplements that have stood the test of time, with science and patient experience to back them up. I want you to picture this like a garden. You don't need 20 different fertilizers, sprays, and additives to grow a strong, healthy plant. You just need the right soil, the right sunlight, and the right amount of water. Likewise, your body doesn't need a shoebox full of bottles. It needs a few well-chosen supports that truly make a difference. For George, the first real shift came when he started focusing on vitamin D. Like many older adults, he wasn't getting enough from sunlight or food alone. Once he corrected that, his energy lifted, his mood stabilized, and his sleep improved. It wasn't dramatic, like a miracle overnight cure, but it was steady and reliable, like the slow rising of the sun each morning. That's the kind of result I want you to expect. Supplements that work aren't flashy. They're quiet helpers, filling in the gaps so your body can do what it was designed to do. The second helpful change for George was adding a high-quality omega-3. Now, I don't mean those oversized, overpriced bottles that scream miracle benefits. I mean a simple, trusted source with enough evidence behind it to support heart and brain function. Within a few months, George told me he felt clearer, calmer, and his blood pressure was more stable. Again, not magic, but meaningful. And lastly, we looked at magnesium. For George, this was a game changer. It helped ease his muscle cramps at night, improved his digestion, and even gave him more restful sleep. These weren't wild, exaggerated claims from a commercial. They were small but very real improvements in his daily life. And isn't that what matters most? Not the promise of living forever, but the gift of living better right now. This is where I want to pause and talk directly to you. If you're someone who's felt discouraged by supplements that didn't deliver, take heart. You are not alone. Many seniors fall into the same trap George did, and there is no shame in that. What matters is the choice you make moving forward. Choose clarity over confusion. Choose wisdom over hype. And most importantly, choose simplicity over overload. If this message resonates with you, I'd love for you to join our growing community here. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and tap that bell icon so you don't miss future advice tailored to your health and well-being. And in the comments, tell me, do you take vitamin D, omega-3, or magnesium right now? Just type yes or no. I'll be looking through your responses because they help me understand what's most relevant for you. What George discovered through this process was that the real power of supplements isn't in quantity, it's in quality. By stripping away the overhyped products, he allowed the truly helpful ones to shine. And with that came something even more valuable than better sleep or calmer digestion. It gave him peace of mind. He no longer felt like he was being taken advantage of or like he was grasping at straws. He felt steady, grounded, and confident that his health choices were making a real difference. And here's the part I love most. George told me, "Doc, for the first time in years, I don't feel like my age is a burden. I feel like I'm managing it instead of it managing me." That shift in perspective is powerful. It's not about pretending we're young again. It's about embracing the wisdom of these years, using the right tools, and living with joy and dignity. George's story, as you followed along, is really the story of so many seniors I've had the privilege of caring for over the past 3 decades. When he first walked into my office, weighed down by that shoebox of pills, he was tired, frustrated, and unsure whom to trust. But by the time he found his rhythm, simplifying, choosing wisely, and letting go of the hype, he was standing taller, smiling more, and rediscovering what it meant to feel in charge of his own health. That transformation is what I hope each of you can take away from this conversation about 7 supplements overhyped for seniors and 3 that help. elderly advice. What made the difference for George wasn't just swapping one pill for another. It was stepping out of the cycle of fear and marketing that so often traps people his age. He realized that health doesn't come from chasing every promise in a bottle. It comes from clarity, balance, and knowing when less is more. He discovered that most of the supplements he had been faithfully taking were little more than clever advertising wrapped in hope. And once he let those go, the supplements that truly mattered had room to shine. Think about that for yourself. How many bottles are sitting on your counter right now? How many do you take each morning without even knowing if they're helping? If you've ever felt like George did, confused, skeptical, or worried that you're wasting both time and money, you're not alone, and you don't have to keep living that way. With the right guidance, you can strip away the noise and focus only on what brings real value to your body and your life. The key is remembering that supplements are just that, supplements. They're not replacements for healthy meals, regular movement, good sleep, or meaningful connections with others. They're supports, like the sturdy cane that helps steady your step but doesn't walk the path for you. Used wisely, they can add strength and comfort. Used blindly, they can become clutter that weighs you down. I want you to feel the same empowerment George felt. He learned to ask better questions. Do I really need this? Is this backed by real science? Does this fit my health story? By doing that, he didn't just free up space in his medicine cabinet, he freed up his spirit. Suddenly, he had more money to spend on things that brought him joy, more energy to share with his grandkids, and more confidence that his health choices were making a real difference. And as I talk about George, I can still see the relief on his face the day he told me, "Doc, I feel like I've gotten my life back." That's a powerful thing. Not because he discovered a miracle cure, but because he discovered that health after 60 is about wisdom, not gimmicks. It's about knowing what's real, letting go of what's not, and embracing the simple, steady steps that keep your body, mind, and spirit strong. So if you take nothing else away from this message, remember this. Health is not hidden in a secret pill. It's in the choices you make each day, the clarity you bring to your routine, and the courage to let go of what doesn't serve you. When you do that, you open the door to more energy, more joy, and more freedom in these precious years of your life.